on my own without you, wishing that didn't go. Day two, same again, but comes and goes, breaks my heart, no one knew. Didn't wanna go, 'cause out here, I'm all alone. Didn't wanna go. I wanna turn back the time and let you know. Didn't wanna go, 'cause out here, I'm all alone. Didn't wanna go. I wanna turn back the time and let you know to come home. Kiss you, so you come home.
And of course, all the images are screwed up. Let me fix these real fast before we actually officially start the show.
Is there not like a save option? You're always moving these boxes.
You'll see, John. It'll happen actually during the show as well. Like
I know. I watch you.
They randomly change size on me. Super frustrating. Who's that?
That's me.
Oh. So now I got to change these because our individual site is out of whack.
Are we echoing?
Are we?
Nope.
Yeah, I feel like we pretty much have that pieced out in front of us.
Yeah.
John's
I just
big.
want to check.
Yeah, no, it never hurts to check. See, John, you know I'm always behind you. I'm always behind you.
The way I like it.
All right, let's see if these change size on us again.
No,
Look,
hit save first.
there's no save.
What did you do?
No save button.
What do you mean there's no save? There's got to be a save.
No save button, buddy. There you go.
Then there's
What?
got to be a persist button.
Oh my God, you and your. Yeah. We'll get started here in a second, people. I promise.
If anyone knows how to use OBS, we would love a.
I know how to use OBS, for crying out loud.
If anyone knows how to persist OBS.
Why'd I just shrink?
Did you shrink? See? That's what happens. You got cold, you shrunk. I'm not even on that screen anymore. I wasn't. You'll grow big again here. Actually, you just keep. I don't know what to do with you, John. We'll just start with this. We'll do it live. Okay. Oh shit. Start local recordings. In 3, 2, 1. I guess we could have done all this before we went live.
Could
Clap
have,
check.
but much more fun this
3,
way.
2, 1. All right, and fantastic. Okay, cool. Let's do it. Yeah, buttery. All right. I'll kick us off. Whoa, holy crap, Thomas! Are you like dumping things into Trello?
Oh, yeah, I did.
Yeah, that's a good one to talk about. All right. All right. Hello and welcome, everybody. You're listening to episode 142 of PHP Ugly, your premier podcast for PHP developers. I am one of
Eric, you
your
feeling
hosts,
okay?
Eric Van Johnson.
You're seeming very down. Is everything okay?
I do love it when I get my intros interrupted and throws me off. I appreciate that. We are here with our typical hangover crew. In our world of Hangover, our version of Alan, our very good friend, Thomas Rideout.
I don't understand what you said in the slightest bit.
And if
Have you not seen the movie?
if any of us were to get a tattoo on our face, it would definitely be our version of Stu, John Condon.
That's me.
You guys,
I thought I'd be. Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. I think that's a good one.
you're still.
Yeah.
I figure I'm more of the Marshall Leslie Chow mix, probably. As much as I wish I was Bradley Cooper's character, probably more of the Marshall. Less. I mean, not like the illegal parts, just kind of the odd part. Thomas, have you never seen The Hangover?
I have. I didn't go through that period of obsession that everyone else seemed to go through.
Yeah, I just happened to be watching it when we got home. I got home from work and just wanted something to watch while we ate dinner and turned it on. And it's just one of those movies, or it was just one of those moments where everything about the movie just struck me as super funny again. And the wife and I was watching it with the wife and kids actually. and it's a great movie, man. It's just a great movie. So yeah, I'm a fan.
And Ken Jeong's been on everything lately. He's been all
Yeah,
over.
he has.
Yeah, with his new show on Netflix. I've seen him on Hot Ones and all sorts of podcasts.
Yeah, he'll be on our podcast next week.
Yeah, stay tuned.
He'll finally diagnose that thing on Eric's face.
It's just my face, Thomas. We've had this conversation. Oh man, how's everybody doing? How's everybody's week?
I'm ready to go to bed.
Oh, dude.
God,
So lame.
trying to drag a dead body through sand with you two.
I know.
Do some good show here. You're killing me.
Well, mistake number one.
I spent 10 hours in this chair today because we released code last night and we ended up reverting it at the 10th hour.
Oh no, you reverted it, huh?
Yeah, we ended up reverting it.
Do we want to get into the story at all, or do we want to discuss?
Oh yeah, come on.
I mean, there's not a whole lot to the story to tell. It was a feature I've been working on for months. It was I tested it. I've had other people testing it, and there's just some quirkiness with the code base, and we didn't test one functionality, I guess. And it's really hard to get into without how the application works. But that piece was broken, and we did a bunch of firefighting throughout the day and tried getting to a point where we could keep it in production, and just got to a point where they wanted to pull the plug and say, let's take it back.
That's a bummer.
Yeah.
I mean,
Never fun.
Is it anything you can talk about, like a lesson learned, or?
Yeah, I mean,
basically all we got out of that story is, we tried to deploy some code, some bad things happened, and we just pulled the code back.
Lessons learned. No, don't just test your happy path, because that's easy to do. So, all my testing was around a use case, and that worked fine. And within this application, there are so many, because it's a legacy application, there's so many things built into it already. And there's a whole concept of teams. So you, as an administrator of your company, could have people working underneath of you, and you can create content and then share it down to your members. And in this case, it was voicemails. So you could record one and share it to your team, and a team member could then use it. And there was something funky within that sharing piece. The way the code is written, it's just not easy to work with. And I didn't test that path. I tested my voicemails, but not the team shared ones. And it just was not good. So unit tests are important. It was hard to unit test the code I was changing, because it's not really testable code. So it would have required a lot more refactoring, which I should have done, but I did not. Unit test obviously would have helped in other parts of the code as well. So, just a bad week, or a bad day. Start off as a great week. See,
and bottom line, what do we learn? The most important lesson at all: John's not a very good developer.
That's true.
No, come on, that's not true. That's not true.
No. So I start off with the bad stuff to go to the good stuff. The same application, I've been preparing the code to get it working on PHP 7 now for probably at least 2 years, and it felt it was in a good state. But it's hard to get management of the application, the owners, to be in a comfortable place to launch the code into a PHP 7 server. They finally pulled the trigger on a few servers. As that application has grown. They've got it in multiple environments within Amazon, and we're able to spin up one server running PHP 7.3 alongside another server running 5.6 so they can watch graphs in New Relic, which has been a lot of fun to see them running the same requests per minute, but watch the CPU usage in half on the PHP 7 server.
Really? Nice.
Yeah. I don't think it's going to equate to a whole lot of speed improvement because the application is very bound by the database.
Mhm.
But just exciting to finally have at least a 7.3 server in production on this application. And
Cool.
Yeah.
within the next couple weeks, they will start spinning up more servers and other environments using it. So exciting.
It's been a trip watching you grow up through PHP, starting with what 4.8 when we first met, and then slowly moving your way through the 5 branch. Now you're almost an adult with PHP 7.
Slowly. I took that PHP 4 branch to PHP 5.5. Yeah, actually, no, actually 5.6. While the more grown-up version of the code base was stuck on PHP 5.3 until I finally was moved from the old code base to the new code base, and then took the time to get it from 5.3 to 5.6. And yep, but it's there, it's done, it's working.
Well, let's take a quick moment and welcome everybody listening to us live in Discord up above. Hello,
The super fans.
Discord friends. And if you notice anything weird about the stream, let us know. I feel like in looking at the video and looking at my dashboards here, it feels like voices and lips are out of sync. But
That's usual.
let me know if you guys see any issues. Besides that, what have you been up to, Thomas?
Teenagers and code and teenage code. I don't know. It's been a rough week, man. It
Really?
has been a long one. My wife's been dealing with a lot of stuff at work, and we've been dealing with a lot of screaming teenagers who can't stand each other, and I'm not even drinking tonight, which is like, I think the first episode where I'm not having a beer on camera.
Yeah, it shows.
But
It's rough.
yeah, I get a little bit low energy right now. But working on a lot of stuff. Tried to get the episode out yesterday and completely failed. And so I think I got the episode out at like 1:00 this afternoon. Real skill.
So the not drinking thing is unusual for you. Is it just something going on that you can't, or are you just tired and don't want to?
The wife wanted to go out to dinner last night after a particularly hard day at work, and so we decided we were gonna enjoy our evenings yesterday instead of today, which is my normal. Don't want to drink too many days in a row.
I was saying, did my hangover reference like really nail it? I mean, are you hungover?
A little bit. I think I might even be getting sick too. I have 2 of my kids have been home the last several days from school because they've been too sick to go to school. And
I feel your pain there.
Yeah. So that's been thrilling, and I've been talking to them through walls instead of in face to face. Trying.
I've got 2 with pink eye and 1 with a double ear infection. So
Jesus.
Fun.
He's got 2 ears, so he's fine. Oh wait, double ear infection. I can be.
Well, is it both ears or is it twice in one ear?
Both ears. That part was we took him to the doctor not even thinking ear infection at all. And she looked in there. She's like, "Yep, both of them are infected. Here's the antibiotics. 10 days. Go for it."
Yeah,
And
my wife's got an ear infection right now too.
you
Ugh.
can't help as a parent to feel like you're being judged. Like, I'm a terrible parent.
I didn't feel that way at all. Was I supposed to?
Yeah, a normal
Yeah,
human.
you know, you're definitely
Like,
supposed to take some accountability on that.
Yeah, pretty much. Every
Like-
time I took my kids in, I tell you the thing that absolutely crushed me to the soul was we our kids were doing really well in school. And this was I think they were still in kindergarten or they might have been in first grade. I don't remember the specific timeline, but they were doing well. And we come in, we got called in for a talk, and we're like, huh, what's going on? And they're like, yeah, we did some basic vision testing in school today, and we really think you need to get your daughters in and have them tested. Talking about kids, our kids are always reading comic books and like little books and stuff.
They've got their nose all the way to the page. What could be the problem?
See, this is insane. So we we take them in, and I'm standing there. You're standing in the hallway, and the doctor has my first daughter, and like, okay, read as far down on the chart ahead as you can, and they're on like the third line, and mind you, the letters are still like huge, and they're getting the letters completely wrong, and I'm just like, no, that's not right. No, do it again. That's not right. And it turned out that they both severely needed glasses. Not only did they need glasses, but they had to have like patching done. And I mean, I'm like, how am I their father? And did not ever even recognize this. I mean, how can their vision be this poor? And there was no indicators to me. Yeah, I felt horrible, man. I felt horrible. So yeah, that's how you should be feeling, John.
I can see that if you for something like that, I can understand feeling horrible. But kids get sick. Why would I feel horrible, like a bad parent, for them getting sick?
Because you're supposed to protect them, John. You're supposed to keep them in that little bubble.
And screw that.
Yeah, that's the mom's job.
And there goes some of our listeners right there.
Hey, I'm a stepfather. I'm obligated to be distant towards my own children.
Well, you do a good job at it, Thomas. I can commend you on that.
I had
Being distant?
Yeah.
That was kind of mean.
Yeah.
Well,
No, I'm great at it. Nailing it.
Oh, my goodness.
So, who's upgrading their Laravel?
Well, Eric didn't tell us about his week yet. That wasn't very nice. He asked us about ours, but no one asked him about his.
I'm so used to him just talking nonstop about himself. I didn't even occur to me that it hadn't happened yet.
I appreciate that, John. You bring a tear to my eye. I go back and listen to our show, and I'm always thinking, nobody asked how I was doing. Nobody asked. But today,
How are
John,
you doing?
all right. No, I'm doing good. I'm starting to knock out some tasks that have been kind of lingering over my head. Some coding tasks. Got a couple things done. Got the team. We're kind of hitting the stretch on this new application we're developing, and we still got a ways to go. But I'm really happy to see the progress the team's making, and I'm looking forward to it. It's an interesting position to be in because we as developers, we just love developing, right? And it's like, come to us, whatever you want to develop, we'll develop. It doesn't have to be a good idea, we'll develop it for you. If you pay us to develop, we'll develop it.
Doesn't have to be safe. Doesn't have to progress humanity in any way.
And it starts to get with as much time and effort as we've put into this app, we're getting to a point where um, the customer is going to start to demo it to potential clients. Say, hey, is this something you're interested in? And already, like that nervous feeling in the pit of your stomach of, you know what, I don't think anybody's going to like this, or I don't think anybody's going to want this. I mean, we're already like starting to get hints of feedback from, certain people that, that what we're doing might be overkill, that they're not sure their clients are, this is something that they're going to embrace. And you're just kind of like hoping, well, kind of hope they do because we spent a lot of time on this. but I don't know.
It wasn't, just to be clear, it wasn't overkill on our part. It's not like we overcomplicated it. It was taking direction from the project owner.
It's good. That's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point to make. Yeah, but but you still want to see it succeed, and we're okay like pivoting and changing a few things here and there, but the overall concept we're hoping is embraced. And I don't know, it's kind of I'm almost feeling like it's a 50-50 thing. Like they'll get this out in front of people and like they're either gonna love it or nobody's gonna be interested.
So if it makes you feel any better, I'm working on an identical problem with some new tech that my company is insistent on rolling out.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, it's a lot of effort this week into augmented reality stuff.
Augmented.
And yeah,
I'm actually. Oh well, I mean, obviously you have your scope in your industry is different, but I've augmented reality in general. I always felt like was way more beneficial than virtual reality. Like
sure.
Yeah. That I always love the idea of like wearing glasses and being able to be fed information as you're looking at a piece of art and being able to get information about that art. That was always
yeah. That is not what we're doing.
No, you're just
no.
You guys doing something like Doug, you want to see a pole dancer? Just put up your camera.
Yep.
No.
That's exactly. That's exactly what it is.
No.
And it's like this is all behind the normal paywall, and they think it's going to drive interest in subscribers. And I'm like, it is a 5-minute novelty, and then it is gone.
I agree. If even that, it's like how many times can you see a pole dancer in church or something? It's like that's just not funny after a while.
Yeah,
that's weird.
And it's a huge push, and I've been working on it all week, and I know that the owner is a bit enamored with AR technology, and I get the feeling that he used a HoloLens at CES
mm-hmm.
and wasn't aware that $3,500 is a high bar for entry. So I think his expectations of how cool people think this is going to be don't include the fact that it requires a headset for $3,500.
So did you one for testing?
I think we might actually have one, but right now everything we're doing is on the phones with Apple's AR technology.
Yeah, that's tough. I mean, and we've been stuck in similar situations where we just didn't particularly agree with the direction that client was taking. And I mean, at the end of the day, they're the ones paying the bill. But we had a client once that, and we talked about it on the show when it was happening, where our team had developed a fairly complex front end for them using Vue.js, and they just decided in like the 11th hour, you know what, we don't want to use Vue, to just rip that out and replace it. And it was a huge undertaking for us. And we begged and pleaded with them. We're like, listen, it was a project that we knew we were handing off. We knew the client was going to take the project over, and they felt like their skill set wasn't strong enough with Vue.js. And our lead developer at the time literally begged and pleaded with him. It said, "Listen, I'll come in for the next 2 weeks and personally train your developers. I can promise you that once they understand Vue, they'll love it, and it'll be way easier than trying to rip all this out and replace it." And they just chose to pay for like an extra 2 or 3 months to literally ripped out everything that was done with this Vue.js JavaScript framework and replace it with. I think we actually just went with straight jQuery at the time, and it was tough. But again,
that's rough.
Ultimately, I mean, it's a double-edged sword. I mean, it's nice to have clients that have a sense of the technology they're using, because then they can start to understand some of the limitations. They kind of understand what to ask for. But at the same time, when they think they know more than they actually know, that can be a problem. We've had clients that keep insisting, I want to see the database structure. It's like, okay, well, I can show you the database structure, but you won't understand anything about it. I mean, it's just a bunch of columns and names. It's fun. I don't know. I've been trying to work more on some of the DiegoDev products we have. We're trying to get mission control kind of reworked a little bit and released. And I have some ideas behind that. We're trying to implement a few new features. And
speaking of which, did you get those lanyards out?
Yeah, no, I didn't. I will. I have talked to the office administrator, or the assistant, and she has assured me that she will come in and get everything organized and get them out. I did get a PO box, as I mentioned last week. That's one of the things I kept telling John. I wanted to get a PO box first because I wanted to be able to put a return address on it, but I didn't want to use our physical address because
he kept saying he was worried Buttery Crumpets was going to show up at our doorstep.
And Buttery will just fly in and know where I'm at half the day. So
yeah, that is a constant concern. Our fans are a little obsessive.
Yeah, John, it's not like we've never had a fan fly in to see us.
Oh man, good point.
It'll be fun. I mean, yeah. Well, I'm gonna get those out. I'll start to push the office assistant to come in and get them done. I've been in the office like by myself all week. John hasn't been here. He's wasn't here last couple days, and the normal people who show up hasn't showed up. We usually have like 2 developers who are pretty consistent about coming into the office, and neither one of them have been here all week. I had a couple of developers here for like half the day, I think yesterday.
I was there on Wednesday, wasn't I? Just not today because of the issues.
No, you weren't here on Wednesday. That was your walk in the park day, remember?
Oh yeah. I'm not doing that.
That was supposed to be our racquetball day. See, you see, look above my head. Yeah, he would fly in. See, this is why this is why we can never let Buttery Crumpet know where we're at.
Oh man.
But yeah, I didn't play racquetball this week. I was supposed to play on Wednesday. My racquetball friend bailed on me Wednesday. Said we'll play for sure tomorrow on Thursday. And I'm sitting around all day today, and nope.
He's been holding his racket all day. Like, are we gonna go now? We're gonna go now. We're gonna go now.
Yeah.
Nope.
And I've been fondling my blue balls and being like, I'm gonna play some
God.
racquetball. Well, racquetball, they're little blue balls, What do you think
Yes,
of it?
I know.
So,
Are you able to breathe better now that you've had like a week of resting?
no, I'm actually doing better with the breathing. John will contest. I can actually get through the games now without
That's
passing
it. You are correct. I won't contest.
Yeah. Oh, I used the wrong word there. I wasn't contest. I wanted to say something else, but yes, I am actually
Yes.
doing better with the breathing. Yeah, I'm still losing like crazy, but
Pulled his hamstring last week. Pretty bad.
I did pull the hammy last week.
Really?
Yeah,
See,
that was well.
that working out stuff will kill you.
It was my own. It was my own doing because I'm
'Cause you
struggling
played racquetball.
I'm struggling with a weak knee, and so last week I'm like I'm gonna get a brace for my knee to help with my knee. So I get the brace, and of course, with the brace now, it makes bending the knee a little bit more restrictive. And I just stepped funny, and then my hammy is like, "Oh, I'll help you hurt a knee." But
You've relocated the injury from your knee to your hamstring. You
I
bought a
told John,
device to do that.
I told John, I'm like, it's just my body rebelling against me, trying to get me to sit back down. That's all. I just have to keep fighting back. That's all. Eventually,
That's not how it works.
it's exactly how it works, man.
I'm
Come on, yeah.
so worried about him. But like I said, no mercy.
No mercy.
Sweep the leg, taking it out.
I know. Last week when we played, John just nailed me in the gut, and at the time when he did it, I have a lot of gut. It didn't seem to bother me. I felt like the wave, like go around to my back and come back around to the front a couple times, but I thought it was okay. And then I think we played. It must have been Thursday, and I woke up Friday morning. I'm like, why do I feel like somebody hit me in the stomach? I was hurting so bad Friday, and it took me a little while to realize. I'm like, oh wait a minute, that's right. I did get hit in the stomach yesterday.
Yeah, is when John accidentally punched you in the stomach.
I mean, I think the first two times could be considered accident. I think the third time, fourth time, and fifth time were intentional. Something yelling like horrible things at me. I don't know. Whatever, John.
That sounds like me.
All right, so we talked about Laravel 5.8. Laravel 5.8 got released this week. Who's
Yes,
excited?
I hate it.
You hate it? You don't actually hate it. Let's not go there.
I don't.
Let's not hate. What do you not like about it?
We use caching extensively in my company, and 5.8 requires you to change all of your caching from seconds to minutes.
That's a search and replace, man.
Yeah.
And isn't it minutes to seconds?
Say again?
Isn't it minutes to seconds? The other way, right?
Oh, yeah, it is the other way around. It was minutes, now it's seconds.
Yeah.
Which is just super annoying. But I at least understand that a little bit. But then this is also the deprecation start for all of the helpers.
Yeah, the array and the string helpers.
But with that one, couldn't you use a service provider and use a proxy?
For the helpers? Sure.
No, for the caching, so that you can continue to throw in minutes and have it do the math and then proxy through the actual cache?
Probably. But I mean, that's just delaying the inevitable of having to do the real change.
Yeah. Well.
But there was the other issues. I was taking bets earlier on how many versions 5.8 would be at by the time we went to air. So on Tuesday, I was asking.
I believe the over under was like 0.4 release or 0.6 release or something.
Yeah, and it hasn't been that bad actually. We're now up to 0.2.
Yeah.
So we got 2 releases the first day. Well, we got 3 releases the first day. So it's 5.8.2 now.
Mhm.
And I don't know what those small fixes were for, except that I do have an article announcing that 581-582 had been released. Did you guys see that one? You saw that one, Eric. You shared it.
That's the one that you just posted in Trello, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, I'll pull that up on the stream for our live viewers here. Yeah. These are just the release notes.
These are the release notes for the 0.1 and 0.2.
No, are they? They look like
Yeah.
the 5.8 release notes.
Yeah, what you shared.
Oh well, then you're looking at the wrong one then. So
that's what was in Trello.
Yeah, that was just the 5.8 release. There's also a changelog for 5.81 and 5.82.
Yeah.
And it reverted changes, fixed quoted environment variable parsing, changed return fake objects from facades.
Laravel News doesn't even have it on the board yet. So
it's in the Laravel blog. I've got it. I posted it in the Slack channel, but it's not surprising that there would be 3 releases in one day whenever a new big version goes out.
So John had asked me, he's like, hey, the stuff we're working on, we try to stay pretty current with it. And John's like, hey, you're not upgrading anytime soon, are you? I'm like, no. My new rule of thumb is we have to go at least a week between releases.
It was the fact that the day it was announced, he wrote about it in our Slack channel and said he was going to use Shift to do the migration. And I was like, wait, let's give it a little bit of time to sit there.
Yeah, I don't even know if I'm going to use Shift on it, to be honest. I might try to bang it out myself.
Are you going to upgrade to Carbon? Because the new Laravel supports Carbon 1 and 2.
Oh, you have an option. Oh.
Yeah, you can choose if you're going to run Carbon 1 or Carbon 2.
Man, we use Carbon so much. The only difference with Carbon 2 is it has the immutability, right? Are there other differences?
Yeah, there is an immutable class, but there's also changes to localization, a ton of changes to localization.
Yeah, I don't know, might change that out. I mean,
yeah, there's a whole document on how to migrate to Carbon 2 with a good amount of stuff that you need to be aware of.
Then you have the .env upgrade to 3.0, the new
Yep.
that one.
That's very nice. .env gets a lot of new functionality out of that.
Yeah.
But you could have also just done it on your own in your Composer JSON file too.
Yeah, but would the application still been able to read it though?
I believe so.
I guess so. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. Horizon got a big update.
Everybody jumped all over you about that. I don't know if I'd call it a big update. Come on.
It's
you call it
a complete UI refactor.
No, it's not it has a dark theme. It's not a complete.
Yeah, it's every single color changed. That's a big change.
Where is that link, man? I know that posted, and people in Discord, people in Slack, people in IRC.
Oh yeah, no, I was getting ats all morning.
Everybody was making sure that you saw that the new Horizon wasn't dead. that they had a release for it.
Yes. The support added the new UI and removed support for 5.5 and 5.6.
What I loved about the article in Laravel News is if you read it, they have a couple of changes here in the article. New UI, environment via command options, a couple changes, a couple fixes. Then it says at the top, it says check out the release notes on GitHub for a complete list or complete release notes. I'm like, oh, cool. There's way more. They're just highlighting a couple things.
Yeah, it's just
And
the big stuff.
You click on it, and it's the exact same thing. There's nothing else there. That's it. There's no reason to click on that link. They have it on the article.
Yeah, I'm, and they bumped the version all the way up to 3.0.0.
Because it's a backwards breaking change.
So somebody new must be managing the versions then.
That's funny.
Yeah,
so that's the big thing with Horizon. It now has a dark theme, which pretty much everybody's doing nowadays. But
yeah, dark theme, and I can no longer use it because I'm on 5.6. Bizarre.
You need to get in that upgrade path, man. We were talking about that. We were talking about that internally. I don't know if you called it in our company Slack, Thomas, but I mean, we were mentioning how, as a development group or as a company, when you decide to use Laravel, man, you are committing to constantly moving forward because you can't stand still with Laravel. I mean, other frameworks, maybe you can stand still on for a while, but Laravel, and you've got to keep moving. And it's not a bad thing. I mean, well, depending on who you are and how you get paid and how comfortable you are with that sort of stuff. But it's
how
not
frequently you want to push to production.
It's not a bad thing necessarily. Yeah, I mean, it's
Thomas,
a lifestyle.
You give me crap all the time about my version of PHP, and what's keeping you on 5.6?
I don't know if we're on 5.6. I think we might be on 5.7.
5.7?
He's talking about Laravel.
Oh, I thought you said you were stuck on PHP 5.6.
Yeah. No.
Oh. Remove support for Laravel 5.5 and 5.6. Never mind. I can't read.
And 5.5 being LTS, so removed support for LTS. That's kind of a bummer.
Think about that. Was 5.5 the last LTS?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, to their defense, they didn't say Horizon was LTS.
Do not defend that. That is such a.
I'm just saying. They didn't say Horizon was LTS. They said that Laravel was LTS.
Yeah, and the GitHub channel is Laravel/Horizon. It's just dumb. It's dumb. It's not taking what LTS means seriously.
What in these changes had them drop support for 5.7? I wonder. I mean, there's not that much there.
Yeah, I don't know. I
can't figure. I mean, unless the Symfony process required them. I mean, like one of the dependencies of Horizon. I don't know. I can't see what could have made them drop that support. And it just says it's not supported. It doesn't say it doesn't actually work. They're not going to support it. Their enterprise coverage won't support it. So let's be fair. All right.
Some of the decisions that are made.
There isn't a lot of transparency going on about why the decisions are made or what the changes will be coming up. I mean, I'm still in fear of the next announcement from Laracon, which God knows whatever it's going to be, self-driving car or something.
Yeah, I would talk about some of the speculation I've been hearing, but I just don't want to feed into that. And that's part of the problem. It's like I really got jaded on it last year, and I don't know. I've been reading a book called Rework, and Rework was written by DHH and Jason Fried. And if you don't know who DHH is, he's the creator of Ruby on Rails. Him and Jason are the founders behind Basecamp, I think is what it's called. But anyway, if you read their book, I, I'm not a huge fan of everything he's saying. I connect to a lot of stuff he's saying as a small business owner and as somebody who's trying to develop products myself. I connect to some of the stuff he's saying, but if you're not, DHH is huge in the Laravel community, and I know that Taylor himself is a big fan of DHH, and now reading this book, I really get a better sense of why you see some of the behavior you see from Taylor, because there's just
Please tell.
Again, I'll talk specifically about the book and specifically about being a small business owner and how it relates to me. But DHH talks about, and I don't know, both Jason and DHH wrote this. I don't know who's talking at any particular time, but the book refers to a lot of the things that they did for like Basecamp that was considered bad practice or out of the norm that worked for them. And they kind of put it in this frame of, this is why you shouldn't listen to people. People will tell you this, and that's stupid because we did it and we succeeded. I'm like, oh my God, dude. It's like, because you succeeded doesn't invalidate that whole approach or that whole philosophy. It just means you were lucky. And,
Yeah, that seems like intentionally bad advice.
I don't want to knock it too much because the book itself is really good and there's a lot of good advice. Now, I'm trying to think of a specific example of what one thing where I was like, oh my God, no, that's terrible. And not that it was necessarily terrible, but he talked a lot about, or they talk some about, not trying to match competitors feature by feature. Your product can have fewer features and still be successful. And one of the philosophies I think John and I had when we started DiegoDev was we weren't trying to be millionaires, right? We didn't think we were going to be the next billionaire development company. I mean, we weren't going to have a problem if it happened, but that wasn't our goal,
That's the same as my approach to buying a lottery ticket,
Yeah, I mean, you never heard us say we're going to be the next Facebook, we're going to be the next blah, blah, blah. The goal for John and I was to make enough money to support ourselves and our family. And when we got to that level, we're like, okay, let's make enough money to support, another developer and another developer. And we just organically grew that way. And that's always kind of been our goal. I mean, we have seen opportunities that we've, invested in, but again, nothing we've ever did was a get rich quick sort of solution. Nothing we ever did was with an intention of selling it in just making money off the selling of the product. That's another thing he talked about. But or the book talks about, this book Rework. But then the book starts to reference other practices. I should have taken notes because there were a few that just where, yes, it worked for them, and you can even argue that they could have been better, they could have been bigger had they not gone that route. I know, again, speaking from personal experience, when we were looking for services to use for DiegoDev to manage projects, Basecamp was one of the ones we looked at. And I believe we even started an account on Basecamp. And this was when it was Basecamp 2 and they were moving to Basecamp 3, but Basecamp 3 wasn't released yet. And there was no immediate migration plan between 2 and 3. And to their credit, in the book references this, is to be honest and upfront with your clients. To their credit, they were very honest and upfront of, hey, there's no migration from 2 to 3. So if, there may be one in the future if we can figure out a way to do it, but when we cut over, there's not going to be a migration. And as a result of that, we did not go that route. We're like, well, this doesn't make sense. I want the features that are coming on 3. 3 isn't released. I'm not going to be stuck on 2 if I can't move to 3. And we ended up just going with a completely different service. And it's things like that. It's like, okay, well, if you lost our business, I'm sure you've lost other business. And I think their point is, you're going to lose business, just be okay with that. And if they're very much about, it's okay to lose business as long as it doesn't cost you more money to try to keep the business. And their interpretation of where that is. Oh, I remember one of the things that really it didn't upset me, but I didn't agree with. They talked about press releases. They're like, hey, press releases, that's spam mail. That's spam. That's all you're doing. You're spamming people. I'm like, no, not exactly. I'm like, a press release is an announcement. You don't really care who picks it up. You're just making an announcement. And their point was, instead of doing a press release, and hoping to get picked up by a big publisher to have them talk about you, you should target, other alternative sort of platforms and publish things through them. And in my head, I'm like, speaking from DiegoDev, the couple of press releases we did, we weren't targeting anybody. We were just like, hey, this is something we've done. We're proud of it. We're going to make an announcement of it. If anybody's interested and wants to talk to us about it, reach out to us. And I think it's the difference, in business. I mean, Basecamp is a huge, company. Well, they're not a huge company. They're very clear about that as far as development size. But Basecamp as a product is much bigger than anything DiegoDev has. So their interpretation, for now, their interpretation of, what a press release is and what it gets for them is different than mine. And that was my point. It's like, if you're
like $200.
Yeah, and if you're a company and you do something and you're proud of it, and you don't have a buddy over at Lifehacker that you can call up and say, hey, we're doing this cool thing, write an article about it, then write a press release and release it. There's nothing bad about it. You're not spamming people. I didn't agree with that. That's one of the things that there was a couple of points, but again, they make a lot of good points too. The one that they mentioned, that again, a practice that John and I adhere to, was the idea of hiring people. And it's like, if you have people who are applying for a job at your company and they're just blanketing the industry with resumes, then they don't care about you as a company, and they're just looking for work. And where there's validity for that, you as a business owner have to realize that and understand that that's something you want. And most of the times you don't want that. You want somebody who at least understands your company, who you are, and what you do. And John and I have, we've always talked in the past about how we have a big practice of following developers for a very long time, and developers we're interested in, we'll talk to them and get their interest and try to onboard them, and that's a big deal.
Sometimes you offer them a job and they turn you down because they went and found or talked to their current employer and got more money.
Yeah,
Stuff like that.
things like that.
Which is all fine and dandy.
Are you frozen, Thomas? You look like you're frozen.
Uh,
Are you just realizing mistakes you've made?
almost constantly.
But rework is if you're a small business owner, especially if you're in the tech field, rework is a decent book to read. I mean, it's a pretty quick read. And like I said, DHH and Jason, I mean, you don't have to agree with everything they say as long as you have reasonable arguments against it. But
And you haven't told me about this book?
what was that?
I said, any reason you haven't told me about this book? Every
I
time I read a good book.
my buddy Matt recommended it to me 2 days ago, and I just picked it up, and I'm almost done with it. Actually, I've almost burnt through the whole book. So yeah, pick it up. Rework is what it's called. It's on Audible, John. I know you're an Audible person. That's actually how I'm doing it.
I think most people are Audible people.
I don't know how anybody has time to physically read a book anymore. I want to get there, but for me, it's like it's either while I'm walking the dog or while I'm driving to Arizona is the time I have to consume a book. And both of those, trying to physically read is probably considered a bad practice.
Probably. I don't know. Let's get yourself a good AR book system. You can have it floating in front of you while you're walking the dog.
Here you go. Maybe that's what your company needs to work on.
My wife does all of her reading on the treadmill. Like, I don't know how she does it, but she puts her phone up there, and it's like when I go on the treadmill, I listen to a book, but I can't sit there and physically read it. It just annoys me.
I'm with you, John. I did go to the gym this week, and what I did do is I'm trying to work on my cardio, so I rode the bike for about 20 minutes, and I was thinking to myself, it's like if I have time to read, this is when I would read. But I'm like you. I was like, I can't focus on reading when I'm riding a bike. I mean, even if it's a stationary bike, obviously it's not going anywhere, but it's just like I just don't have that focus, and where I can still listen to an audiobook, I don't know. And she reads it off her phone too, huh?
Or Kindle.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Beck. My wife, she'll read an entire book on her phone, and I'm like, how do you do that? That just seems not fun.
Meanwhile, my wife can't get through an entire episode of Iron Fist without falling asleep.
It's not that great of a series, to be honest. Put that out there.
Yeah. So we talk often about all the podcasts we do, and Eric and I do PHP podcasts for PHP Magazine. If you don't listen to it, start. And
If you don't have it, subscribe.
There you go.
It's much more well edited than this one.
We got to get a referral link to the magazine. That'd be nice.
I think we actually have one. I think Oscar sent me one. I have to go get it. I'll ask him about it again.
Anyway, last month they had an interesting article on ways to find dead code, placing tombstones in your code base, and I actually implemented that this week. So another high of the week was getting something like that written based on reading the magazine, and it got merged quickly. So
what is tombstone?
What is a tombstone?
So the whole idea behind it is you can go through your code and you're like, I think this is dead code. And I ran into this. I'm like trying to adjust something, and there was like two paths, and I distinctly remember this old path and me writing a new path, and they do almost the same exact thing. And I'm like, so I'm pretty sure the old one is dead, not being used. I looked in logs and couldn't see it being used anywhere, but knowing how conservative the management is, yes, they want dead code removed, but it's in a critical part of the code base that, if I'm wrong, would be detrimental. So
as we
And
learned today.
hilarious.
As
Yeah.
we learned today.
So a tombstone is simply putting code in however you want to do it that lets the code still run but alerts you, whether it writes to a log file that you go manually look at. Mine is I simply new up a class which does all the work and writes to me in Slack, says, hey, this code is still being used. So if it is being used and is being used as heavily as it should be being used, my Slack will just blow up and say, okay, you're done getting messages for a while. But just my my point is, once it's merged, if I don't get anything within a day or two, because it should be a heavily used piece of code, I know it's really not being used. Now I can go delete that method and not be worried about it.
Huh, I like that a lot.
Yeah, he was explaining that to me. I'm like, yeah, that's a good idea. I mean, especially if you throw in some log notification in there, if you have one of these services that kind of watches your logs and gives you alerts, you just put in a little notification,
Well,
lets
it's
you
kind
know
of
when
why
somebody.
it's kind of why I like the Slack notification, because it gives me a backtrace or a stack trace of where it's at. Tells me, what was on there, and I set up where I could pass a message in if I wanted to. So I'm it literally, like I said, newing up a class, sending in a message, and the channel in Slack I want to hit. For this particular use case, I had it hit me directly, but it could also go to a channel that other people are watching. So fun stuff.
Yeah. Do you guys remember CoinHive?
Is this a cryptocurrency thing?
Yeah.
No, I don't remember.
Well,
So
just real quick, I remember it because when we went to that Bitcoin meetup or cryptocurrency meetup,
Mhm.
we had our DiegoDev shirts on, and it says "Experience the Hive" on the back, and people behind us were like, "Are you with CoinHive?" Like, no.
CoinHive was kind of part of the inspiration for Buscoin, the thing I was working on a while back. Mining Monero through JavaScript on the browser. And the sad news has come out that CoinHive has decided to discontinue their service.
Oh no. Do we care?
Kind of, because it was an actual thing that actually made money in cryptocurrency for people for a while, but it was also a serious problem with hackers using the system to get sites to mine for them. So they would hack into somebody's WordPress site and drop in CoinHive and start taking people for a ride. But I guess it's just not going to work out anymore since uh, the Monero coin has dropped 85% within the year. And
Yeah, if you're watching the stream, I just pulled up Bitcoin, and
Funny, I
just
did the same thing on my computer.
it's just not pretty.
Something's wrong with crypto right now. I've seen so many people talking about how the bull market's coming soon and it's going to bounce back. And there was a day where Bitcoin went up a whole bunch all of a sudden, and everyone was super excited that Bitcoin was coming back, and it's not. It went right back down.
Yeah.
But I guess the hash rate, there was a fork in Monero. The hash rate difficulty doubled, so they were getting half of the returns from it that they used to, and that on top of the 85% drop in value basically meant that they couldn't do anything that was worth more than a penny, no matter what they tried to do. So, yeah, March 8th, they will be shutting it down.
It's funny because there for a while, man, I thought this was becoming a cryptocurrency podcast, and people listening were loving it. I mean, that was the feedback we were getting, as they wanted to hear more cryptocurrency. And now it's like we can actually go. It might pop up, it might surface every now and then, but not a topic anymore.
No, it's pretty toast. I I mean, I don't know. What do you guys see cryptocurrency doing? Is this just the evening out of the whole hype machine dying, or
I'd like to think it is. I still think there's a place for cryptocurrency. And I still think that it has some longevity. I think people got crazy and people got, wanted to jump on the hype train and everybody saw a quick, way to get rich quick and didn't understand what they were doing and started investing a bunch of money and then, selling it. But I think the technology and the philosophy behind cryptocurrency is valid. The idea of a global currency that has a very cheap exchange rate um, has value. I mean, we are turning into a global economy with the internet, and the fact that we don't have a global currency is just absurd, right? I mean, the fact that we still have to figure out, the if I want to buy something and they're selling in pounds, I got to figure out, okay, well, what's that translate to for me, and should I buy it now or should I wait for the dollar to get stronger and buy it later? And I don't know. I think I think if people understood what cryptocurrency was supposed to be, and I think they interrupted the market. Like I think they interrupted the organic growth of cryptocurrency.
Well,
And
I also think at the time when there was all that growth, or the couple times there was a ton of growth in Bitcoin specifically, there was also this surge of just way too many different types of currencies, which confused the market.
Mhm.
And I think that helped drive everything back down or drive people away because they were just so confused.
and I think it became
yeah,
evident that that market was like the idea was that the market couldn't be manipulated, and then we've realized no, it can be manipulated. It can be manipulated actually very easily, and there's a lot of pump and dump schemes going on. And yeah, but I don't know. I still think I still think it has validity. I still think it's going to be something eventually is going to have to come, and if nothing else, replace it. And even the underlying technology sticking around, the whole blockchain technology that the average end user who might have tried to buy a Bitcoin didn't even understand the concept of the blockchain. That is still around, and that's actually being utilized. And I was sharing with John that AWS even has a blockchain as a service out there now. And
yeah. And
again,
I think that's the direction it'll go. Is that the functional stuff will be around, but I don't understand. I mean, I don't know where the explosion in value came from because it was more valuable than it cost to mine. If you just calculated out your electrical bill and then the lifetime of the card that you were using for mining, that should be the value of the thing that it makes.
mhm.
And it was so inflated, and now it's back down to those levels. Now it's down to the level of it costs as much to buy it as it does to make it. So
Mhm.
that's the natural place it should be at.
The buttery in Discord referenced that he's still interested in that market, and we're not making him feel great about it. I don't know.
I
Like I
you
said,
definitely should, but don't get paid in cryptocurrency. That's all. Just make sure you get paid in actual money.
and just like anything else, I mean, especially if you're looking to work with another company on a project or another organization. I mean, just like any other thing, you just want to make sure that their intentions are good. Not a get rich quick scheme. So,
Yeah, and make sure it passes the smell test. Is the project or product a thing that actually has a function on the blockchain instead of just being tacked onto the blockchain?
Or do they just want to go have big conferences where they get to stand in front of everybody and do a whole rah-rah thing?
Ooh-ah!
All right, so we're starting to run a little long, but there's one more topic I wanted to touch on because I really want everybody's feedback on this. So I think we've all talked in the last year about specifically our dislike for Facebook, and I know myself, I drifted away from Facebook. Then I had some stuff happening in my family that threw me back into Facebook, and Thomas publicly announced that he was going cold turkey on Facebook, and that lasted for about 48 hours, and he was back on Facebook.
Well, I have friends
48 minutes.
locally now, so
Yeah.
it's important to be on Facebook because I have to be to communicate with my friends.
Well, and that's the thing. I said it. My not use of Facebook was not anything I wasn't intentionally doing, but I was even upfront where when I do get back on Facebook, I realized how much stuff I was missing from certain not only groups of friends but a family who has now taken to this is how they communicate with one another through Facebook, and I'm like, yeah, I am missing stuff here. I cannot agree with it and not want to be a part of it, but it doesn't change things. Well, we've also talked in the past about things like GraphQL, and I am becoming a huge fan of GraphQL. I mean, I'm about to drink the Kool-Aid on GraphQL.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Finding little wrong with it. And somebody had pointed me to a site that was called npm uninstall Facebook, and what it is actually talking about is not only not using Facebook, but not using any of the Facebook products. And with GraphQL being one of those products, and they have a whole list of Facebook kind of back products like WhatsApp, Yarn, React, which is a huge JavaScript library, Instagram, GraphQL. I mean, just a whole bunch of things that you wouldn't even think. And they're encouraging people, hey, don't only not use Facebook, but don't use any of the projects associated with Facebook. And to their credit, I mean, they do give you a list of alternatives. So like if you click on GraphQL is a bad example. That there aren't that many alternatives.
Yeah, that is the alternative to GraphQL is the old stuff that sucks.
Right. And pretty much, I mean, like a lot of the alternatives for the stuff that they're applying is like, yeah, no, that sucks. Let's see what WhatsApp Messenger alternatives are. Skype, Telegram, those are decent. Signal, Wire, Discord. Oh, we should talk about Discord. I don't know. What are your opinions of it? Because I have my opinion, and if you're hanging around Discord, you already know my opinion. But I'd like to hear your opinions of it before I give my opinion.
It's stupid.
What the whole concept of boycotting everything Facebook is stupid?
Yeah, because
Okay.
I mean, they've contributed to PHP. So
That's fair. Yeah, I mean,
just say like no now.
Yeah.
It's not everything they touches becomes poison. And the issue is not their software. The software is good. That's why it's Facebook. That's why it's so big. The issue is the policies of how they use our data when they collect it.
Uh-huh.
So don't give them data. Don't let them collect your data. But don't ignore the tool because it's associated with a company that you dislike. I don't think that's smart at all.
That's a very good point.
People still buy VWs.
I like what Thomas said, and I agree with that.
Yeah, and I guess I can fall right in line, and that's kind of what I expressed too. It's like their development groups are, I mean, top of the line, right? I mean, the things that these development groups are producing are top shelf stuff.
Yeah, totally.
If you're using one of these services like GraphQL, it's not like they're leveraging these projects to gather data about you. I mean, Instagram, yeah, the argument can be made of why not to use Instagram and WhatsApp and that. But things like GraphQL, where it's just a coding standard in philosophy and implementation that they're not.
Yeah, it seems bizarre to even include GraphQL because it's not even software. It's a reference. It's a standard.
Right. Well, even React. I mean, React is a framework, but still, it's not like the React code base is gathering information about your app and sending it to Facebook. It's no different than Vue.js or any other JavaScript framework out there. It just happened to have been, come from the people at Facebook, the development teams at Facebook. So
it's like if somebody you didn't like invented the wrench and you were just like, well, never using wrenches then. Like, no, that isn't how it works.
Okay. All right. So that wasn't as controversial as a topic as I thought. I thought I'd throw it out there because, like I said, a few people who have heard me talking about GraphQL had tossed this by me. And I'm like, yeah, I don't think I care. But I just want to make sure I wasn't missing something or...
I understand the sentiment where people are just so angry at Facebook for everything that they've done that they want to get away from it completely.
Mm-hmm.
But it just seems like this is a misguided effort.
Mm-hmm.
But I understand the anger. It's just, what are you going to do?
Yeah. All right. Well, I don't know. Do we want to wrap things up?
I've got a doom and gloom item I've got to address here because it made some waves.
All right. I thought we'd skip out without any doom and gloom, but
Oh no, my week hasn't been that bad.
Let's hear it. What do you got?
There's a group called the Independent Security Evaluators who released an assessment this Tuesday that said that 1Password, Dashlane, KeePass, and LastPass are all highly insecure, leaking your data, extremely vulnerable to attacks.
What? What article are you talking? Are you in Trello at all?
I am in Trello. This is the guy holding a key.
All right, let me pull it up for people watching this.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about before we started recording. I was like, damn it, why do you got to ruin everything?
Well, it makes for a great headline where people freak out and say that nothing is secure and everything's the worst. But the reality is no, this is not like an insanely bad vulnerability. Your passwords are not getting disclosed over the web or anything like that. The only real place where this is an issue is if you're working on a shared computer and you're using a LastPass or you're using an app which is storing your password set in memory. Apparently, when it goes to a locked state, it doesn't properly clean up the contents of your password directory from memory. So it could be scraped and by another local user running a program that knew where to access the memory and how to read it. And yeah, it's totally blown out of proportion in the media. And I think all of these platforms have had patches released that fix the issue.
Oh, really? Yeah, I mean, it's a valid point. If you had a virus on your machine that could access your memory, it would be an issue too, right? So it could be disclosed.
Well, if you had a virus on your machine, then the moment you open up LastPass, it would screw you over.
Right.
So this is not an issue with viruses because a virus will win no matter what. It's got local authority. So anytime you log in, you're compromised.
Right.
The issue is other malicious users. And really, they did a really deep dive into where things are getting leaked out of and in each app and how it would get attacked if it were to be attacked. But yeah, this is really just an issue of how many users are on your computer, and if it's one, then it's not a problem.
And if
Or
you're
if
using
it's
it at your home computer,
right, basically this is an issue if you've installed LastPass at the library.
oh, I forgot I gotta get back there and uninstall that.
Yeah.
About that.
So like it is a vulnerability on a very technical level, but it's nothing like the critical vulnerability uncovered title would lead you to believe.
Mhm.
In fact, the title of the ZDNet article is "Severe Vulnerabilities Uncovered in Popular Password Managers," but then the subheadline is, "But the report has to be considered in a risk-based context, to which there is no risk."
I hear ZDNet is really starting to get a reputation for like FUD sort of reporting, fear, uncertainty, and doubt reporting, where they sensationalize these headlines to scare people. They get them to read their articles.
That's why I read the registers, because I know that that's what they're doing at least.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the register's great. They blow everything out of proportion, and they know they're doing it, and it's hilarious.
Okay.
That's it. That's my whole doom and gloom for today, because the rest of the stuff I've got for doom and gloom, it's going in the Patreon post.
There you go. Oh yeah, you didn't do your Patreon post yet this week, huh?
No, I haven't done that. Oddly enough, it's been a bit of a crazy week.
Our participants there, our Patreons, Patreons.
Yes, Patreons.
I got yelled at by somebody in Discord that I keep pronouncing it incorrectly. I forget. It was who yelled at me?
Me?
Oh no. She knows who she was. I forget her name. I forget her handle in Discord, but all right. Anyways, Discord is my new thing, man. I was telling John today, I think I'm for all our community efforts, I'm moving away from Slack. Like for our local user group or SDPHP user group, we tried to do a Slack channel, and I'm like, you know what? We're moving to Discord. So we actually have a SDPHP channel in our PHP Ugly Discord now. I think that's where I'm gonna start. We're gonna start directing people.
I like the idea that we're moving the brand of PHP Ugly to be the parent company for SDPHP.
Sure, why not?
Sure. Okay. Yeah, we could say that. I mean, I did kind of do that with those videos. So yeah. All
We got to
right.
make sure get the elephant logo on the SDPHP lanyards.
We don't have SDPHP lanyards. We do have PHP Ugly lanyards, and they will be mailed out shortly. I keep saying that.
I know,
All
I
right.
think we're like 3 or 4 weeks into you saying that.
Yeah. Well, I don't have a lot of help around the office. I just have a bunch of lazy asses as co-hosts that like, you should do this stuff, Eric. You're good at it.
I don't
Tell
think
you what,
anyone
I'll
ever
do
said
it.
you should do this. I think you chose to do that, Mr. I show up. Oh, by the way, I bought a bunch of lanyards. Like, what? Why?
Perfect.
Because I care about the people who listen to the show.
It was before
People
you
like-
had that idea. You're like, I wanted one, so I bought 50.
Well, they're minimum orders, man. I mean, looks good on my motorcycle. I rode my motorcycle, and it's my motorcycle key lanyard is the PHP Ugly one. So that's
I heard the rain finally stopped there in San Diego.
Yeah,
It comes back tomorrow or Saturday.
So I'm gonna have snow all weekend. It's gonna be wonderful.
Sounds miserable.
All right, I think that's it. We are episode 142 in the can. As always, it's been fun. As always,
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for the people who support us. I'm your host, Eric Van Johnson.
I'm John Congdon.
I'm Tom Rideout. Keep it ugly. You got the countdown correct that time.
Right. I was going to go up to 3 as we all said our names and then back down, but
that makes sense. That wouldn't have been confusing at all.
You know what though? So all right. So yeah, I should have done it like that. Well, you want to hear something weird since we're off the air now? Well, we're not off the air for y'all in Discord. When we talked, it's no secret. We talked about when I went through chemo and all. Chemo fucks with your body, like it fucks with you hardcore. And I got some nerve damage through chemo. So like I can do this like 3. I can do 3 in this hand, no problem. This hand, I can't do the number 3. Like I got like this like nerve damage in this hand now that, and I don't know if it was actually from the chemo, but I noticed that when I was going through chemo that my hand was like getting crippled and I couldn't do the number 3. And the reason I know this is because I used to practice sign language a lot, and that's W. And so I couldn't do my alphabet.
You just lost a letter from your alphabet?
Yeah. And so fortunately this is 3. In sign language this is 3, but that's 3 because that's W. And I can do it with my left hand. I just can't do it with my right hand anymore. And so as I say that because as we're counting up, I started to try to do 3. And I'm like, oh shit, I can't do 3. And anyway. Buttery, thank you for participating and hanging out with us tonight, buddy. Appreciate it, man.
This is our low energy episode.
Dude, you guys were killing me at the beginning.
What are you talking about? I was all high energy. You were low energy, Eric, in your opening. That's why I interrupted you.
You did. Freaking Thomas. I don't know what to do when Thomas doesn't show up. It's like, holy crap.
There was a chance I wasn't going to make it tonight.
Yeah.
I powered through and took a 3-hour nap.
And talk about it?
Huh?
So you want to go offline and talk about it?
Oh, I was just not feeling good. I might be getting this bug from my kids.
Yeah. Well, I told John before the show started. I'm like, I need a mental day tomorrow. It's not even like I'm feeling burnt out or anything. It's just with all the rain we had, my yard is like looking horrible. It's gonna take like a week to get my yard back into shape, and like I don't spend freaking all weekend working the yard, so I'm gonna try to take an extra day and try to get some of this stuff done and still have a day to relax. But yeah, I tell you, my kids. Oh, my poor daughter, my daughter who I think John and I when we went to World, my daughter got into a little bit of a car accident in my truck, and it wasn't bad. She wasn't hurt, and everything was okay. But it was very traumatic for her because it's the first time she'd gotten in an accident. She didn't know what to do. The guy was kind of a dick towards her, and so there was that whole thing. Well, that same daughter got rear-ended today. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me?
Really?
Yeah. And fortunately, it wasn't bad. There's actually, I looked at the car. I'm like, I didn't even see any damage. I guess they were on the 163, and it was just a parking lot. The guy behind her was reading his phone and hadn't realized that he'd stepped off the brake and he was moving. and
Oh,
just
Jesus.
went right into the back of her. So, but it was a different experience for her. She kept her wits about her. She was okay. She called me. By the time she'd called me, she had already taken pictures of the guy's information, the guy's truck, her car. I'm like, yeah, look at you, getting to be a big person now. Oh, so that happened right before we came into right before I came into the office. I'm like, oh, geez. But yeah, she's all right.
Lovely.
I tell you, you never stop worrying about your kids, man. You never stop worrying about your kids.
I've almost stopped worrying today. I almost just gave up and I don't fucking care.
No, it's never ending. I
10:30,
remember
my wife. 10:30, my wife looks at me and says, "Shit, Alexa's supposed to be home by now." And I just thought, "Oh, I thought she was." Oh.
That's bad parenting. You understand? There's a difference there, Thomas. That's bad parenting. You've got to recognize that.
She is so sure of herself right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone is wrong. She is right. It is bizarre.
Oh, I went through. I had my two daughters. I went through that with both of them, and I'm still going through it with them. They're still young enough and they're adult enough where they have it all figured out.
Yeah.
You don't.
And trying to explain that is just so pointless.
I remember thinking, I was like, man, if I can just get them through high school, and then not be addicted to a drug or be pregnant or anything like that, and I'll feel like I've succeeded. And then you get them through high school and you realize, nope, doesn't stop.
Nope, still here.
Yeah. You still struggle. It's never ends, man. Never ends. All right, I'm going to kill the stream unless you guys have anything else you want to say to people.
No. Thank you. Thank you very much for listening.
Thanks, guys.
Catch you on the next one.